when Shiao Chay proposed to marry his sworn sister as a co-wife to protect her. I smiled and handed over the divorce papers. If we're putting on an act, let's go all the way. Sign this, then you can marry Sister Wanren with great fanfare. That way the crown prince won't get suspicious, Shiao Chay praised. My wife is truly wise and considerate, a true virtuous helper. I smiled and moved out with half the Marquis Manor's assets. Divine Physician Zhou, I am coming for you, before. It was Shiao Chay tormenting the original host. Now that I've transmigrated here, it is my turn to light the fire of this, chasing the wife to the crematorium drama. When Shiao Chay pushed the door open and came in, his expression carried a deliberate calmness. He was about to bring up marrying his sworn sister Su Wanren, saying it would only be a marriage in name, all because Su Wanren had caught the crown prince's eye, and he couldn't bear to see her enter the Eastern Palace, that den of tigers and dragons. He wanted to protect her first. But he first noticed that the twin-fish jade pendant I always wore at my waist was gone. That was the love token he gave me. The warm jade was smooth and gentle. Normally, I wouldn't take it off even when changing clothes. A flicker of confusion passed through Shiao Chay's eyes as he asked, "The twin-fish jade pendant at your waist, why aren't you wearing it today?" I spoke in a flat tone. "I gave it to Zhou Yuan. He came to see me yesterday, said his mother's birthday was coming up, and he'd been searching for a long time, but couldn't find a suitable gift. He was so anxious a few of his hairs turned white." I picked up my tea and took a sip, then continued casually. Seeing how troubled he was, and thinking about how he once saved my life, I gave him that twin-fish jade pendant. Shiao Chay's body stiffened, his Adam's apple bobbing twice. "You, what is wrong? Is that not okay?" I looked up at him, my face showing a "what is the big deal" expression. He said his mother has always liked jade ornaments. This jade is of good quality and an antique piece, so it should suit her taste. Besides, it is just a jade pendant. There is nothing wrong with giving it to him, although it was our token of love, as long as we have feelings for each other. Whether the token exists or not shouldn't matter, right? That twin-fish jade pendant was hardly some ordinary antique. It was warm jade that Shiao Chay had outbid a Western region jade merchant for, using military merit silver he had saved for 3 years. The jade was warm and smooth, able to radiate warmth when held in one's palm. He had personally drawn the pattern of twin fish playing in water and had the best jade carving master craft it. He gave it to me on our engagement day, saying, "Twin fish together, never apart through the years." I used to keep it close to my body, reluctant to be too far from it, even when bathing. Shiao Chay always said with a smile that this jade pendant was more precious than my life. At this moment, Shiao Chay's expression was awful. The composure he had deliberately put on earlier shattered completely. His eyes were full of shock and disbelief, as if seeing me for the first time. His lips parted slightly, his voice somewhat hoarse. "You actually gave that jade pendant to Zhou Yan?" I nodded, my tone still casual. "What is the big deal between me and him? It is just a piece of jade. Don't be so petty." "Petty?" Shiao Chay stood up abruptly. "Shenling Wei, do you even know what that jade pendant means to us? That is my—" "I know." I cut him off, deliberately showing a hint of impatience. "Isn't it just the love token you gave me? But a love token can't fill my stomach. He is my savior. Shouldn't I help him?" Zhou Yan already asked. "I can't just refuse him and make him lose face, right? Is this just about helping out?" Shiao Chay's voice was laced with suppressed anger. "You just gave away the love token I gave you to another man that easily. What do you even take our relationship for?" I put on a disapproving expression and gently shook my head. "All right, stop being so petty over such a small matter. I've already explained in detail why he absolutely needed this jade pendant. Our relationship has such a solid foundation. It won't crack just because of one love token, right? I believe you are not that shallow or that petty. Am I right?" Shiao Chay's expression remained awful, as if there was a breath stuck in his chest that he could neither swallow nor spit out. He couldn't refute, but not refuting left him feeling suffocated, caught in a dilemma. This was exactly the result I wanted. Walk the scumbag's path, leave the scumbag with nowhere to go. Gotta show him that when a woman turns scummy, men don't stand a chance. After saying those heart-clogging words, I comforted him. "Husband, later I'll have the craftsman carve an even better piece of jade, prettier than this one." "Okay." Shiao Chay furrowed his brows, staring at me. After a moment, he let out a heavy breath and spoke in a low voice. "Forget it." I sneered inwardly, but nodded obediently on the surface. "Husband, you are so kind." He was silent for a few seconds. his eyes flickering briefly as he tentatively spoke. By the way, there is something else. Wanren has caught the crown prince's eye. He wants her to enter the Eastern Palace. I let out a feigned surprised, "Oh, isn't that a good thing? Crown princess, no less." Shiao Chay quickly waved his hand, his tone carrying a deliberate hint of pity. "You know the crown prince isn't a good person, and the Eastern Palace is a den of wolves. Wanren is just a young girl. She'd definitely suffer if she went in there. She'd rather die than marry the crown prince. I am thinking of taking her as an equal wife, in name only. Keep her under my protection first, and we'll figure things out after this blows over." The scumbag's noble sacrifice act had finally begun. I plastered a smile on my face, my tone exceptionally sincere. "Of course, you are saving a life here, which is better than building a 7-story pagoda. It is a wonderful thing." But Shiao Chay shook his head with a bitter smile, his eyes carrying a hint of probing. "I know you probably have some resistance to this in your heart. What you just said also sounded like you were being passive-aggressive with me. But you also know my younger sister Wanren's temperament. If I don't save her and really let the crown prince marry her, she'd rather die than submit." I immediately stepped forward, gently pressing his arm, my tone becoming even gentler. "Husband, you've really misunderstood me. We're husband and wife of one heart. How could I be passive-aggressive with you? How important Wanren is to you, I've seen it all. If you just watch her get into trouble without doing anything, you'll never have peace of mind for the rest of your life. How am I any different?" "Really?" A flash of pleasant surprise crossed Shiao Chay's eyes, his tone becoming more eager. I looked up at him, my gaze affectionate and earnest. "Of course it is true. But in my heart, I had already rolled my eyes through my ass. Can't you tell yourself whether it is true or not? If you really just wanted to save your sister, why would you need to be so careful about it? You should have been righteous and confident about it long ago. To put it bluntly, you just want to take another woman, and you want me, the legal wife, to nod in approval. You want all the good things. Where is there such a cheap deal?" Shiao Chay instantly relaxed, turning his hand to hold mine, his tone full of gratification. "Wife is truly sensible and considerate." I changed the subject, pretending to ponder. "However, if we're putting on an act, we need to do it thoroughly. Think about it. Although the crown prince doesn't know us that well, he is aware of my feelings for you. Now that you say you want to take Wanren as an equal wife, given my usual temperament, I most likely wouldn't agree. Once he becomes suspicious and thinks your marriage is fake, he'll only pester Wanren even more relentlessly. Then all our efforts would be for nothing." Hearing this, Shiao Chay furrowed his brows slightly, pondered for a moment, then nodded. "You make a good point. What does my lady suggest?" I leaned in closer and lowered my voice. "Why don't we first write a divorce agreement, and then you can marry her in grand style. To outsiders, especially in the crown prince's eyes, there won't be any suspicion. First, once he knows Wanren has become the Marquis Manor's legitimate wife, the new Marquiness, he naturally won't dare harass her so easily. Second, this girl has a pitiful background. We should show her more care. Although your marriage is fake, a woman's reputation is of utmost importance. Making her the legitimate wife shows her proper respect. Even if you two divorce later, the title of the Marquis Manor's legitimate wife can be considered some compensation for her. That won't do." Shiao Chay immediately objected, his tone carrying a hint of panic. "My lady, how could I sign a divorce agreement with you?" I patted the back of his hand and smiled gently. "My husband, what kind of bond do we share? Could a mere divorce agreement really separate us? Our feelings have long transcended these formalities. Look at the love token you gave me. It is just an object. But now that it is gone, has it affected the bond between us?" As I spoke, I sneered inwardly. This scumbag needs to be sweet-talked like this. Fortunately, the book had set up that he and the original host Shen Lingwei had deep feelings, having gone through life and death together. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been the later wife chasing crematorium arc, nor would he have suffered so much after tormenting Shen Lingwei to death. But who told him to have a change of heart now? He wants me to play along with his wife chasing crematorium game, and even wants to torment me to death. No way in hell. I need to live well. Once I get the divorce papers, I'll take the money and live however I want. He and his dear little sister, Suan, can do whatever they want with each other." Shiao Chay stared fixedly into my eyes, and, after a long while, slowly nodded. "You are right. I was being inconsiderate." Then he started praising me non-stop. "Madam is truly wise, both considering the bigger picture and being so thoughtful." He also solemnly promised, "After Wanren enters the household, I will absolutely have no physical contact with her. Once the divorce papers are signed, you can move out temporarily, and I will definitely visit you every day. I just smiled without saying a word, nodding repeatedly. A few days later, the divorce papers were in my hands. I conveniently took half of the Marquis Manor's assets with me and found an elegant courtyard to settle in. Looking at the room full of gold, silver, and jewels, my eyes went wide. The feeling of getting rich overnight is just too amazing. Actually, Shiao Chay tried to stop me when I was moving the valuables, but I shut him up with just one sentence. We need to make the act convincing. If the crown prince sees through it, how could he let Suan go? Your sister would be in danger then. The moment he heard this, he immediately backed off and let me happily haul away all those treasures. The bond between Shiao Chay and Shen Lingwei was forged at death's door. That year, Shiao Chay was ambushed by political enemies and fell off a cliff, severely injured. It was Shen Lingwei who carried him on her back through the wilderness for 3 days, feeding him her own blood to keep him alive. She literally snatched half his life back from the King of Hell. Later, when the border was in crisis, Shiao Chay went to battle and got trapped. Again, it was Shen Lingwei who disguised herself as a man, infiltrated the enemy camp, and risked her life to deliver military intelligence, helping him crush the enemy forces. But she herself was shot through the shoulder blade by an arrow, leaving her with a lifelong ailment. This perfect couple who had been through life and death together should have been the most enviable love story in the capital. But it all shattered completely after Shiao Chay forcibly took his adopted sister Suan as his wife. When Suan first entered the Marquise's manor, she was weak and pitiful, calling him brother and her sister-in-law so sweetly. Then she'd turn around and play the victim in front of Shiao Chay, spreading rumors that Shen Lingwei couldn't tolerate her, a poor orphan girl. She even secretly tampered with Shen Lingwei's medicine, making her body grow weaker by the day. Shen Lingwei presented evidence multiple times. Yet Shiao Chay always brushed it off with excuses, like Wanren is lonely and pitiful. As the Marquise's wife, you should be more tolerant of her. Then turned to comfort the tearful Suan. He could see Suan's tears, but couldn't see the light in Shen Lingwei's eyes slowly fading away. That was the despair of someone who had once braved mountains of blades and seas of fire with him, now pushed into an ice cellar by his own hands. Finally, on a snowy night, Shen Lingwei was found collapsed in the snow at the Marquis Manor's side courtyard, lifeless. Her body only had a few bruises that appeared to be from accidental bumps. Only then did Shiao Chay panic. The woman who once risked her life for him. The woman who always smiled behind him saying, "I believe in you." Just like that, she was gone. He searched for clues like a madman, unable to sleep day or night. The pain made him wish he could follow her in death. Until 3 months later, he pried the truth from Suan's personal maid. It was Suan who was jealous that Shen Lingwei had everything. She bribed the servants in the manor to drag the sickly Shen Lingwei into the snow at night, frozen to death alive, then staged it as an accident. Upon learning the truth, Shiao Chay locked Suan in the woodshed, giving her only cold leftovers each day, making her personally experience the illness and cold that Shen Lingwei had suffered. He ruined the beauty she was so proud of, broke the fingers she used to gain sympathy, forcing her to recount over and over how she killed Shen Lingwei. When Suan sought death, he saved her again, only coldly saying, "You killed her. How can you deserve a quick and painless death? I want you to live, tormented day and night, forever remembering the life you owe her." As soon as I recalled this plot, I couldn't help but scrunch up my face, all twisted. I suspect the author is a pervert, and I really can't understand. What kind of person would enjoy reading this kind of torture porn? With that time, wouldn't it be better to scroll through some puppy-eyed cuties with 8-pack abs, licking the screen looking at handsome guys for eye candy? Life is already hard enough. Why deliberately seek out torture novels to add to the misery? Isn't this just adding insult to injury? I really couldn't help but complain. Most likely those who enjoy reading torture novels have lives that are too smooth in reality. Usually nothing annoying happens, so they want to find some bitterness to taste in books. Otherwise, there is really no way to explain this hobby. But now the tables have turned. This scumbag woman, actually transmigrated into Shen Lingwei. Before it was Shiao Chay tormenting Shen Lingwei. Now it is my turn to torment him. From now on, only I get to torment him. He wants to make me suffer again. No way in hell. The day Suan entered the Marquise's mansion was truly a grand spectacle. Red silk paved the road, dowry lined up from one end of the street to the other. Everyone in the capital knew about it, and the news of my divorce from Shiao Chay spread even faster, as if it had grown wings, reaching every corner of the city in a single day. Ministers in court discussed it privately. Young ladies in noble circles huddled together whispering. Even the peddlers and laborers in the streets and alleys were holding their rice bowls and chatting heatedly about it. Some cursed Shiao Chay for being heartless and ungrateful, abandoning his wife for a sworn sister, speaking up for me. Some envied Suanren's good fortune, actually snagging the position of Marquise's wife. Others shook their heads, saying this matter was fishy. They refused to believe I would willingly divorce the Marquis, who was deeply in love with me. Certain there must be some conspiracy behind it. A few days later, the Empress Dowager held a spring appreciation banquet, inviting all the nobles in the capital. Xiao Chay brought Suanren to attend the banquet together. Under everyone's watchful eyes, he raised his cup and announced to the crowd he loved Suanren the most. Shiao Chai's words were meant to make the crown prince completely believe that he and Suanren were not just a temporary arrangement, to cut off the crown prince's hopes. In the original book, Shen Lingwei questioned him about why he said he loved Suanren the most. Shiao Chay used this excuse to brush off Shen Lingwei. Everything was just a temporary measure. He had no choice. Too bad, this scumbag woman transmigrated here. He didn't get the chance to explain to me. Who has time to listen to his made-up nonsense? On the same day, he brought Suanren to the spring appreciation banquet. I was accompanying Zhou Yuan on a spring outing in the outskirts of the capital. Zhou Yuan was no ordinary person. He was a renowned divine physician famous throughout the land. Whether nobles or commoners, everyone who met him would respectfully address him as Divine Physician Zhou. The Empress Dowager's old ailment was cured by him. Many high officials owed their recovery from difficult ailments to him. Despite his esteemed status, he had no airs about him. He not only treated the nobility, but when poor commoners came for treatment, he sometimes charged nothing at all. His reputation among the common folk was extremely high. Yet this divine physician, already 24 or 25, still hadn't married. Matchmakers in the capital nearly wore down his doorstep, but he remained unmoved. He usually kept his distance from women entirely. He was the famous, cold-faced divine physician of the capital. Now, this cold-faced divine physician had unprecedentedly taken me, the former Marquise, on a spring outing. On said the news spread, it instantly became even more explosive than the Marquis divorced and remarried. Someone from afar painted the scene of him and me walking side by side through the peach grove. Pink-white petals fell on our shoulders, and his gesture when handing me a handkerchief was gentle and soft. It set everyone talking. Those who had spoken up for me before were even more excited. They said Zhou Yuan and I were a match made in heaven. Onan was an abandoned virtuous wife, the other a benevolent physician who helped the world both rare good people. Woman on the street who saw us together directly smiled and blessed us. Facing all this, I smiled without a word and didn't explain. I am a scumbag woman through and through. I've always followed the principle of not initiating, not refusing, not taking responsibility. When Zhou Yuan heard others teasing, he only said lightly, "The innocent need no defense." He didn't clarify that there was nothing romantic between us. How could I not see through his little feelings? He clearly has feelings for me and wants to take things further. He is just waiting to see my attitude before committing to anything. When I stepped into the new residence with the wariness of returning late, Shiao Chay showed up uninvited, standing in the center of the main hall with a livid expression. The green bricks beneath his feet seemed about to be stomped to pieces. On the 8 Immortals table before him lay a painting with ink still wet. In the painting, Zhou Yuan and I shared a small boat, him handing over a teacup. It was painted with a hint of tender affection. Beside the painting were piled several notes, all gossip from the capital copied by servants. Every line was filled with talk of the former madam of the Marquis Manor and divine Dr. Zhou being deeply in love, and countless commoners waiting at the ferry to watch the two travel together. "Why don't you explain? What exactly is going on?" Shiao Chay's voice trembled. Even the finger pointing at the painting was shaking. On his way here, he had been publicly mocked by General Wang Hu, whom he'd never gotten along with. "The Marquis is so fortunate, just married the delicate Miss Su, and already your former wife has found a divine doctor for company. Neither of you owes the other anything." The mockery in those words made him lose all face in front of his companions. Some of the consorts in the palace who were on good terms with me had sent word through their people, openly cursing Suanren as a seductive fox bewitching her master, throwing the Marquis Manor into chaos, making the scene even uglier. Only then did he rush over to cause me trouble in a fit of rage. I swept my gaze over the painting with feigned confusion, then furrowed my brows. I was just discussing some matters with divine physician Zhou. How did it get painted like this? discussing matters. You need to go boating to discuss matters. Shiao Chay stepped forward, his eyes full of suspicion and anger. The whole capital is talking about you too. You have nothing to explain? My voice instantly carried a grieved sob. I was just being kind. That day, I heard that Sister Wanren kept coughing after falling into the water, as if she'd developed a lingering illness. Divine Physician Zhou is a rare master healer in the world, so I thought I'd ask him about remedies for recuperation to prepare some medicinal dishes for Sister Wanren. When I went to find him, he was boating. The two of us are innocent. There is nothing to avoid, so I rowed in the same boat with him. Who knew someone would spot us from afar, and even paint it like this, spreading it everywhere? In my heart, I feel more wronged than anyone. Shiao Chay's momentum instantly weakened a bit, his tone hesitant. Really for Wanren's sake. Why doesn't my husband believe me? I lowered my eyes, tears seeming about to fall. You are marrying Sister Wanren. I never thought of competing for anything, only wanting harmony in the Marquise's household. Now, I am being so considerate of her. Yet, you still doubt me like this. It seems I took my husband's trust too seriously. The ashen look on Shiao Chay, his face gradually faded, replaced by obvious guilt. He stepped forward and took my hand. It is my fault. I was foolish. You are so considerate. Not only do you not resent me for marrying Wanren, but you even worry about her health. Yet, I believed the gossip outside and wrongly blamed you. It is all my fault, wife. Please don't take it to heart. I softly hummed in acknowledgement, raising my hand to wipe away non-existent tears from the corner of my eye. Forget it. We've been husband and wife for so many years. How could I truly blame you? Shiao Chay's face was filled with guilt. In the end, I casually mentioned, Divine Physician Zhou also said today, if I am interested. I could go to his medicine hut sometime to look at medical books and learn some ways to take care of my health. I am planning to go there first thing tomorrow morning. Shiao Chay's expression instantly darkened again. His brows furrowed tightly, clearly jealousy was surging, and he was quite displeased. Wife, don't go. I looked up at him, my tone light and airy, as if speaking of something trivial. Don't overthink it. My relationship with Divine Physician Zhou is just like yours with Sister Wanren. He is my lifesaver, and also my good brother. I promise, there is nothing improper between us. The reason gossip is because it can't become truth. Don't mind it. What others say is their business. We must trust each other. Shiao Chay's face instantly flushed red, his lips moving several times, as if wanting to retort, but the words reached his lips and he swallowed them back. He just clenched his fists tightly, his face looking even worse than before. Looking at his frustrated expression, I sneered inwardly. Come on, let's hurt each other. You are allowed to have a sister, you must marry into the family and protect well. Can't I have a brother to exchange medical knowledge with? When you were blinded by lust and abandoned me, did you ever think about today? This bit of interest is just the beginning. Shiao Chay was under immense pressure. This pressure came from all directions. The Empress Dowager, the concubines in the harem, the discussions among court officials, the storytellers among the common folk used to repeatedly tell our past love story as a model. Everyone remembered that we were once the love story everyone in the capital envied. We were the perfect lovebirds that countless newlyweds aspired to be. No one expected such a beautiful tale would end in divorce. What is even more ironic is, we had just separated, and Shiao Chay hurriedly married a new Marquise's wife. He even made a big show of taking her to the Empress Dowager's banquet. Well now, the gossip of the entire capital was about to drown him. As for me, though I also made a high-profile boat trip on the lake with Zhou Yan, my reputation was worlds apart. Everyone said Shiao Chay was a heartless man who abandoned his wife to marry another, while Zhou Yan was already known throughout the capital as a gentle gentleman, and I had always done good deeds and accumulated virtue. With things like this, when we two go out together, not only does no one curse us as shameless couple, instead, it is all blessings. Everyone says I've finally seen that scumbag's true face and found a good man. All of this was actually within my expectations. When I proposed the divorce to Shiao Chay, I had already thought this far ahead, but that bastard only had thoughts of marrying his sworn sister Su Wanren. He didn't consider at all the public criticism he'd face later. Now karma has come. I heard he threw a huge tantrum in the Marquise's residence, smashing many expensive vases and paintings. He was so angry his gums swelled up, and he even hurt his foot kicking a stone. Not long after, he came looking for me with Su Wanren. Su Wanren was crying and sobbing, with a big bump on her forehead. She said she was hit by vegetable scraps thrown by a vegetable seller when she was out on the street. The moment Shiao Chay saw me, he lashed out. Look at the lousy idea you came up with. Now things have gotten out of control. I pretended to be innocent, spread my hands and sighed. At this point, there is nothing I can do. Back then, I only thought about making room for my sister, giving her the best, not letting her suffer any grievance. And we had to put on a good act, so the crown prince wouldn't see through it. Who knew it would turn out like this? Then I changed my tone and started blaming him. And you too. It would have been fine just bringing her to the Empress Dowager's banquet, but couldn't you have just stayed quiet? You just had to say in front of so many people that the one you love most is Sister Wanren. Have you forgotten how many people you told that I was your one true love? Those who disapprove of you are just waiting to catch you slipping up. Even if you had just shown her off first, waited a while before sweet-talking, it wouldn't have come to this. My tone was full of sincere concern for them, not a trace of sarcasm at all. Yet every word hit right where he was wrong. Shiao Chay knew he was in the wrong too, and muttered with his head down. Wasn't that just to make the crown prince completely give up on marrying Wanren? I was just playing along at the time, caught up in the moment, didn't expect it to turn out like this. We both had good intentions, but made things worse. I sighed. What is done is done. There is no other way. We can only let time smooth things over. Once the gossip dies down, and people stop paying attention, it'll be fine. I waved my hand and glanced at the sky. Enough talk. I have an appointment with divine physician Joe to study medicine. It is almost time. I am leaving first. Don't worry, bad things will pass eventually. You two go home and live your lives well. Shiao Chay panicked the moment he heard this, his expression darkening. What time do you think it is? The sun's about to set. You are going to his house this late to study medicine, a man and woman alone. What will people think? I feigned annoyance and scolded. When did the Marquis become so petty? Divine physician Joe is swamped during the day. Where would he find the time? The clinic closes at night, and he is exhausted, yet he is still willing to make time to teach me medicine. We should be grateful. How can you be jealous over nothing? You really don't know what is good for you. Besides, isn't me learning medicine also for you and Sister Wanren? Once I've learned it, I can help regulate your bodies. How can you think of my pure sibling relationship with him as something so filthy? Marquis, you've really changed now. Changed so much, I barely recognize you. I pushed them toward the door. All right, hurry back. Don't let others see you. On the surface, we're already in a divorced relationship now. You bringing your new wife to see me all the time. I know you are thinking of me, but in other people's mouths, who knows what they'll say. Maybe that you brought your new concubine to confront and interrogate me. It is not good for the Marquis Manor's reputation. Saying this, I turned to fetch some things. A box of pastries from the old established shop in the south of the city, and several carefully selected small gifts. Then I put on the phoenix hairpin I usually wore and tied on the sachet embroidered with magnolias. I deliberately dressed myself more radiantly than usual before turning to go out. Shiao Chay stood in place, his face twisted terribly, breathing heavily like a bellows. He looked like he was about to step forward to stop me. I skipped a few steps forward lightly, dodging his hand, and walked straight toward the carriage at the door. The maid assisted brilliantly from the side. It has been so long since I've seen Madame this lively. As soon as these words came out, Shiao Chay's face turned even greener. His head turned green too. His heart was probably both sour and aching. After all, the person he once deeply loved now looked like she was cheating on him. And the other man was the famous divine Dr. Joe of the capital even. Others said they were a match made in heaven. Anyone looking would think his wife was about to run off with someone else. Sure enough, he chased after us and reached the carriage. With passers-by around, he could only lower his voice and ask, "When can we get back together?" I didn't lift the carriage curtain, just told the driver to move on, my voice carrying a hint of dismissive impatience. Don't worry, once this storm blows over, when it is time to reconcile, we naturally will. Go back now, it is getting late. After saying that, I started humming a little tune inside the carriage. I felt truly delighted. Finally, I could go see Zhou Yuan. He was so gentle and refined, handsome, and thoughtful, always giving people plenty of emotional fulfillment. Learning medicine from him, having him keep me company while I study. Wouldn't that make for a wonderful tale? Thinking about it, I started craving. I want to eat. My visits to Zhou Yuan to learn medicine eventually made Shiao Chay harbor resentment. He wasn't at ease. He sent servants to linger outside the medicine hut. His little schemes were plain as day. I didn't really care, because I had nothing to hide, even though Zhou Yuan and I, a man and woman alone, shared the same room. But I was indeed studying medicine, just having Zhou Yuan guide me on a few acupoints on my body. Could there really be anything else to read into it? Around the hour of high, I returned to my residence. That servant also went back to report to Shiao Chay. He had just left when I suddenly felt a headache and fever, probably caught a cold at the medicine hut earlier. I need to go back to treat my illness, so I turned back to Zhou Yuan's medicine hut. It was getting late, and to avoid more trouble, I simply stayed in his guest room. Just like that, I stayed for the night. The next day, just as dawn was breaking, hurried footsteps came from outside the courtyard, accompanied by Shiao Chay, his suppressed rage. I had just gotten up and put on an outer garment. The guest room door was slammed open with a bang, and he barged in with bloodshot eyes. He saw me sitting on the edge of the bed with my clothes somewhat disheveled, then looked behind me, where Zhou Yuan stood holding a medicine bowl. That fury instantly burned even fiercer. He asked me, "What is going on? You clearly went home last night, so why are you here again?" Then he pointed at Zhou Yuan's nose and cursed, "You beast! How dare you hide my woman, Marquis?" I stepped forward to block Zhou Yuan, my tone turning cold. "Speak more politely to divine physician Zhou. Things are not as you imagine. It is not what I think." Shiao Chay was so angry that the veins on his temples were throbbing. His gaze swept over the furnishings of the guest room, making him even more furious. "You've already spent the night at his place, and it is not what I think. The servants clearly saw you return to your residence yesterday, so why are you here? Explain yourself. Explain this to me clearly. Don't tell me you two were meeting secretly at night. Lord Zhao, please calm down." Zhou Yuan stepped forward, handed the medicine bowl to me, his voice still calm. "Miss Shen did indeed return home yesterday, but in the middle of the night, she sent someone with a message, saying she had caught a cold and was feeling very dizzy, so I had her come over for treatment. The wind was strong at night, and she is frail. If I had made her travel back home, wouldn't that be disregarding her life? There is nothing improper between us. As for Lord Shiao, you only know how to fixate on matters between men and women, yet you don't know to care about her health. Besides, you and Miss Shen have long since divorced. This kind of control is rather overstepping, isn't it? Nothing improper." "Improper my ass." Shiao Chay was struck where it hurt, and raised his hand to hit Zhou Yuan. Suan gently and weakly grabbed his arm. "Brother, don't be impulsive. Sister Shen only stayed here because she was feeling unwell. Divine Physician Zhou was just being kind-hearted. If you get so angry and hurt yourself, what would we do? Besides, if others saw this, they might think I couldn't tolerate Sister Shen, which led to your divorce." These words sounded like mediation, but every single one was stabbing at Shiao Chay, his heart. Not only implying that I was shamelessly staying at Zhou Yuan's medicine hut without knowing to avoid suspicion, but also making herself look completely innocent, putting on an act of being wronged yet still considering the bigger picture. A perfect display of green tea bitch behavior, but this time Shiao Chay didn't soften like before. He violently shook off Suanren's hand, the irritation in his eyes almost overflowing, his voice turning cold. "Shut up. Don't forget, I divorced Shen Lingwei because of you. What is with your passive-aggressive attitude?" Suanren stumbled from being shaken off. Her face instantly turned pale, yet her eyes quickly reddened, tears falling like a broken string of pearls. Looking ever more pitiful, I thought to myself, as expected of a top-tier green tea bitch, this look truly makes one feel sorry for her. I even wanted to help wipe her tears. I stood to the side, holding the warm medicine Zhou Yuan handed me, almost bursting out laughing. This was the first time Shiao Chay ever got angry at Suanren. In the original novel, every time Suanren harmed me, she just had to act pitiful and shed a few tears, and Shiao Chay would blame everything on me. At best cold words, at worst getting physical with me, every time making the original host's heart ache with anger. Now the tables have turned. It is Suanren's turn to taste what it feels like to be neglected. This time, Shiao Chay finally wasn't buying it. Shiao Chay got angry and was about to hit Zhou Yuan. I was quick to react, grabbed his wrist and slapped him across the face. I said coldly, "Shiao Chay, ever since you married Suanren, how did you become so unreasonable? I can barely recognize you anymore. Divine Physician, Zhou kindly kept me here for treatment, and you are not even grateful, yet you dare to accuse him falsely. Apologize to Divine Physician Zhou." Shiao Chay was stunned by that slap. After a moment of daze, he came to his senses, trembling with rage. What? His own woman spent the night at another man's medicine hut. He came to confront them, only to get slapped by her. And now he is being ordered to apologize to that wild man. Is there anything more pathetic than this in the world? Is there no justice? Is there no law? Shiao Chay pointed at me, unable to speak for a long while. He suddenly started coughing violently and actually coughed up blood. I sneered inwardly, but put on a helpless expression. I wiped his mouth with a handkerchief. I sighed. What, even now, you still think I am wronging you? Shiao Chay was so aggrieved that tears welled up in his eyes. I thought he was going to blow up at me. He suddenly grabbed my hand, his eyes carrying a hint of deep affection. My lady, let's stop this quarrel and get back together. I can't live without you. Come back to the Marquise's residence with me, will you? I calmly withdrew my hand, deliberately lowering my voice. My tone carrying a hint of worry, Marquis. There are too many eyes and ears here. We're too close. What if word reaches the Crown Prince, and he sees through us? Sister Wanren's marriage is what matters most. We can't let the Crown Prince think we're still involved. He already wants to drag Sister Wanren into that den of wolves. If he notices something's off and comes to compete for Sister Wanren, and something happens to her, I'll never have peace for the rest of my life. A flicker of emotion passed through Shiao Cay's eyes. His eyes gradually reddened, and his voice softened. I know you are just saying that out of anger. It was my fault. I was inconsiderate when I impulsively married Su Wanren. Come back with me, will you? By now, more and more people had gathered outside the courtyard. I leaned closer to Shiao Chay, lowering my voice even more. My tone full of sincerity. I am really not angry. Don't worry. It is just not the time to talk about this. Go back first. Don't make a scene, or outsiders might see through us. Otherwise, all the scolding you and Wanren endured would have been for nothing. Our plan would also fall apart. I would feel bad for you. Our divorce, you marrying Sister Wanren, it was all to block the Crown Prince's path to scheme against him. If he finds out this was all planned by us, if he really becomes emperor one day, do you think you'll have good days ahead? He'll definitely find ways to target you. Every word of this struck right at his weak spot. He looked at the sincerity in my eyes, then glanced at Su Wanren silently weeping beside us. Finally, he let out a sigh of relief. Fine, I'll listen to you. I'll come find you tonight, and we'll talk properly. I smiled and nodded, watching his retreating figure, then, sweeping my gaze over Su Wanren's pale and greenish face, I laughed to myself. Shiao Chay, oh Shiao Chay. You finally have a day where someone has leverage over you. As for him saying he'd come find me at my residence tonight, good luck finding me. I stayed at the medicine hut, facing Zhou Yuan. I developed an unprecedented eagerness to learn. It was probably because his face was too eye-catching. Just looking at him made studying feel like ordering a male model at a nightclub. Addictive. Zhou Yuan was a smart man. He could see through my little scheme of using him to provoke Shiao Chay, yet he never called me out on it. He didn't mind. While sitting idly, he suddenly raised an eyebrow and asked with a smile, Maybe one day, I'll find an opportunity to ask the Empress Dowager to grant us a marriage pairing you and me together. What would you do then? I carelessly swirled my teacup, pulling out that player girl rhetoric. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Feelings are never certain. Who can force anyone? He stared at me for a long while, then sighed softly. You've really changed. He was always clever, knew his boundaries, yet had an unspoken protectiveness about him. He anticipated that Shiao Chay would come causing trouble at the medicine hut tonight, after failing to find me at my residence. He had arranged guards around the perimeter in advance. I secretly complained to myself, this way of being both flirty and protective. If this were modern times, he'd probably be a top-tier player who could charm anyone. At nightfall, Shiao Chay indeed came. His face was full of anger as he pointed at me and demanded, It was you who abandoned me. You deliberately coaxed me into divorcing, when in fact you had already changed your heart. This was all your scheme, wasn't it? I blinked in feigned confusion, my tone innocent. Marquis, I don't understand what you are saying. How did this become my scheme? Who was it that promised to grow old with me, then turned around to marry his sworn sister? How could I have foreseen that you'd have a change of heart halfway through? His eyes instantly reddened, his voice trembling with a hint of pleading. I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. Can we get back together? Stop tormenting me. I can't live without you. I'll go back right now and divorce Su Wanren. She shouldn't have come between us. I'll find another way to save her. The smile on my face suddenly faded, and my tone turned cold. Enough playing around. It was time to completely tear off the pretense. If you truly feel remorse, truly have sincerity, you should first divorce Su Wanren, then come find me. I already gave you a chance. You just didn't cherish it. Go back. Xiao Chay immediately panicked, explaining in a flustered manner, I didn't, I haven't. Could it be? Is there really no way to have the best of both worlds? I raised an eyebrow and asked back, what a coincidence. I also want the best of both worlds. Be your wife at the Marquis's residence during the day, and come to Zhou Yan's medicine hut at night to learn advanced medical techniques from him. Do you think that is acceptable? No, he roared out, his eyes full of obsession. You can only belong to me alone. I spread my hands, my tone light and airy. Only officials may set fires, but commoners can't light lamps. How can men and women be the same? He retorted angrily. Preach, sister. This is the ultimate shutdown of the patriarchy. He thinks he can have a wife and a sworn sister, but she can't have a handsome study buddy. The hypocrisy is screaming. She looked him dead in the eye and said, if you can play the field, so can I. He's losing his mind, not because she's cheating, but because he can no longer control her. We love to see a toxic man squirm. I looked up at him with a sidelong glance, the mockery in my eyes unconcealed. Oh, when a man has 3 wives and 4 concubines, he is called romantic, but when it is a woman, she is called loose. On what grounds? Xiao Chay. Remember this. Well, I only accept wholehearted devotion. If you are sincere with me, I'll stay with you through life and death. If you change your heart, I'll be even more ruthless than you. There is no going back between us anymore. With that, I raised my voice and called out, see the guest out. The guard stepped forward upon hearing this, blocking his path. Xiao Chay completely lost it, raising his hand to shove them aside, shouting harshly, I am a marquis of the current court. You bunch of servants, how dare you defy your superior? Do you have a death wish, trespassing on private property, and still acting so brazen? A cold voice rang out from behind. Zhou Yuan had somehow already appeared under the corridor, his expression filled with frost. Even if I hurt you today, and this matter reaches the Emperor, you'd still be the one in the wrong. Do you believe me? I immediately shrank behind Zhou Yuan, my voice instantly softening, with a hint of deliberate grievance. Teacher, he is so fierce. You have to stand up for me. Boo-hoo-hoo. Xiao Chay's blood was already boiling, provoked by my calling him teacher, and Zhou Yuan's cold words. He actually spat out a mouthful of blood with a blade. He collapsed straight down. His attendants rushed forward to support him, clumsily carrying him away. Xiao Chay truly loved me, so he could be angered by me to the point of coughing up blood. But I am a bit puzzled. If he is so afraid of losing me, why did he cheat? It is probably because the original host's unconditional love gave him an illusion. No matter how big a mistake he made, I would never leave him. And everything I am doing now is just correcting this absurd belief of his. At that moment, Suan happened to appear, saying she wanted to talk to me. I glanced at her, my tone cold. Xiao Chay isn't here, so drop the green tea act. I am not interested in seeing you like this. She immediately changed her demeanor, looking at me with contempt in a victor's tone. You are such a stupid woman, acting recklessly just because of your brother's favoritism toward you. But I should thank you for all these stupid things you've done. It is you who pushed him away step by step, giving me the chance to become his only favorite. You are being way too jealous over nothing. Brother only married me into the household. Nothing has happened between us. But tonight, after you've angered him like this, it is the perfect opportunity for me to make my move. From today on, you, the former Marquis's wife, should officially become a thing of the past. I was still thinking about how to erase your place in his heart. I didn't expect you to be so obliging. Her tone was arrogant and brazen, as if she had already secured victory. I gently shook my head and spoke unhurriedly. You are way too confident. Trust me, men are all like dogs. The more they can't have something, the more they want it. Suan, you can never replace the position I hold in his heart. You'll spend your whole life living in my shadow. Even if you really sleep with him tonight, you are nothing but a tool for him to vent. This level of shade, lethal. She didn't scream or pull hair. She just planted a seed of insecurity that will rot the mistress from the inside out. By telling Suan she's just a rebound and a tool, she stripped away any joy the mistress felt about winning. Suan thought she was the main character, but our girl just reminded her she's nothing but a plot device in a man's midlife crisis. Brutal. Don't believe me. Let's wait and see. Those few words hit her where it hurt. Suan, who had been so arrogant just moments ago, instantly turned pale. She clearly knew she couldn't beat me, yet refused to admit she was inferior to others. All she could do was drop a "then let's wait and see" before storming off in a huff. I seemed to have let her go, but I hadn't actually spared her. With Xiao Chay's obsessive personality, Su Wanren's days by his side from now on definitely won't be easy. After all, I transmigrated into a chasing wife to the crematorium novel. If Shiao Chay can't have me, he'll chase after me relentlessly like a dog. At this point, anything Su Wanren says to slander me will only make Shiao Chay despise her more. The characters' personalities were already set in stone. The ending of chasing wife to the crematorium is hard to change. The only difference is, after transmigrating, I've become clever. I didn't get abused to death like the original host. Instead, I knew when to pull out, becoming the rule maker of this emotional game. Zhou Yuan beside me chuckled softly. I am becoming more and more interested in you. Shall we go boating again tomorrow and provoke Shiao Chay some more? I patted his shoulder and teased. I didn't expect that you look like a gentleman, but deep down you are so scheming. Zhou Yuan raised an eyebrow. I've always looked down on fickle men, making trouble for him. I am more than happy to, but I knew clearly in my heart this was just his excuse. He obviously just enjoyed the feeling of going out with me. After all, I am beautiful, fun to talk to, and I smell nice. Being with me, isn't that just enjoying life? The second day, Zhou Yuan and I went boating together, strolled the streets eating sugar figurines, and went to buy rouge together. I noticed wave after wave of servants secretly following us, running back to report to Shiao Chay. But Shiao Chay didn't come personally to cause trouble. He must have been fuming with rage in the Marquise's mansion, yet helpless to do anything. The details of his most beloved woman dating another man, he surely knew crystal clear. Yet he had no ability to stop it, could only rage impotently in the mansion. I put myself in his position and thought about it. If it were me, I'd probably be angry enough to cough up 3 liters of blood. And Su Wanren staying by his side must also be enduring his dark mood, having a hard time. Sure enough, when we were having lunch, Su Wanren came crying and sobbing. Her face bore clear slap marks. She walked with a limp, her eyes full of resentment. I flashed her a victor's smile. What I said last night came true, didn't it? You are nothing but a loser too. The injuries on your body were from Shiao Chay beating you in a rage, right? You must have been bad-mouthing me to him again. That is why he hit you. I waved my fan, leisurely analyzing the scene that might have occurred in the Marquise's mansion, watching Su Wanren's expression grow increasingly ugly. I knew my guess was correct. I pressed further, spit it out. What do you want from me? She clutched her chest and said through gritted teeth, the Marquis sent me to apologize to you, told me to find a way to calm your anger. Otherwise, I won't need to return to the Marquise's mansion. The hatred in her words was almost overflowing. Clearly Shiao Chay, and she had completely fallen out. I spoke indifferently. Return to the Marquise's mansion? Impossible. She instantly burst into tears, looking utterly pitiful like a pear blossom bathed in rain. Sister Shen, please, I am begging you to come back with me. Otherwise, I don't know what will happen to me. I looked at her, feeling not a shred of sympathy, only schadenfreude. If I forgave her, it would be the same as killing myself with my own hands. This woman was vicious at heart. In the original book, she had literally caused the original host's death. Her ending was already predetermined. She could only be tortured to death by Shiao Chay. I turned to the servant who came with her and ordered, go back and tell your Marquis in the Marquise's mansion it is either me or her. He naturally knows what to do. Su Wanren's eyes went wide as saucers, and she knelt down in terror to beg for mercy. Sister, please don't say that. The Marquis will really kill me, I feigned surprise. Is it really that serious? After all, you are his most cherished sworn sister. For you, he dared to defy the crown prince, and even publicly declared that you are the one he loves most. How could he turn on you so suddenly? Even wanting to kill you, at most he'll just send you away. Don't overthink it. But I knew in my heart, Shiao Chay's personality was inherently extreme. He loved me to the bone and would never give Su Wanren any chance to appear before me again. If he only sent her away, he would surely worry that this sworn sister wouldn't accept it. Who knows when she might pop up again to cause trouble. Then I would leave him again, and he would never have another chance to make me turn back. He understood well the principle of, if you don't pull out the roots when cutting weeds, they'll grow back when the spring breeze blows. So I guessed he would either be mad enough to directly eliminate Su Wanren completely, or he would hire people to imprison her, making sure she would never have the chance to appear before me again. As for which one he would choose, I didn't care. Either way, no matter which one he chose, it would just be them fighting among themselves. Nothing to do with me. Shiao Chay was already an obsessively paranoid person. Yet Su Wanren was his cherished sworn sister. This relationship happened to become the sharpest blade in my hands. I had already anticipated this. Shiao Chay will listen to me. After all, I've made it clear. It is either me or her. But before that, I should let him agonize between his sworn sister and his beloved for a while. Suan is no pushover either. She'll definitely struggle for her fate and resort to some lowly tricks. What I want is to watch these two tear each other apart in agony. This is the punishment for a scumbag and a green tea bitch. And I had already predicted that the outcome of this entanglement would inevitably be Shiao Chay eliminating Suan with his own hands. Sure enough, over the next few days, Shiao Chay didn't come looking for me. I spent every day inseparable from Zhou Yuan. At night, under the lamp, in his medicine hut, I learned all the acupoints on the body. During the day, I sometimes accompanied him on free medical consultations, watching him speak gently while examining patients. It was quite pleasant. I went along to celebrate Zhou Yuan's mother's birthday banquet. At the banquet, the old lady held my hand, smiling with her eyes curved. "Girl, if you could really become the daughter-in-law of our Zhou family, that would be wonderful." Once the old lady said this, it was equivalent to making the Zhou family's stance clear. Zhou Yan was a renowned divine physician in the capital, and those who came to celebrate were a mixed crowd, from nobles and imperial concubines to common folk. Even the crown prince and various princes and princesses came. Even the emperor teased us on the spot. They wanted to arrange a marriage between me and Zhou Yuan, saying Zhou Yuan was getting older and should settle down and have children. Honestly, Zhou Yuan is gentle as Jade, treats people with courtesy, and is indeed a fine man. But as a scumbag woman like me, I am really a bit scared of marriage. I politely declined the emperor's kind offer on the spot. I just said this matter still needed more consideration, no rush to decide. Zhou Yuan and his mother just smiled gently upon hearing this, showing no sign of disappointment. Zhou Yuan still had that calm, unhurried demeanor, the tenderness in his eyes like rain that wouldn't dissolve. I knew he had long prepared for a prolonged battle. This birthday banquet wasn't a waste of my time. I even accomplished something big. I told the crown prince about the conflict between Shiao Chay and Suan, and how the two had once joined forces to scheme against him. I told the crown prince, thou the crown prince, couldn't be said to deeply love Suan. He had genuinely liked her. Now, learning he'd been deceived and schemed against by the two of them together, he flew into a rage on the spot, slamming the table and saying, neither of them will have a good ending. First, let them fight like dogs. As for Shiao Chay, how dare he deceive and scheme against me? I won't let him off easy either. The crown prince was always a clever man. Now the emperor, empress, empress dowager, and quite a few consorts in the palace all stand on my side. They're utterly disgusted by Shiao Chay's behavior of abandoning his wife and changing his heart, now that there is a reason to deal with him. The crown prince naturally doesn't mind kicking a man while he is down. A few more days passed, and Shiao Chay finally made his decision. He came to find me with a face full of joy, but his complexion was haggard, with dark circles under his eyes. Clearly these past few days hadn't been easy for him. The moment he saw me, he dropped to his knees with a thud, crying bitterly. He grabbed my sleeve. My lady, I've completely come to my senses. I can't live without you. I've already dealt with Suan, just as you said. She will never appear before us again, I promise. I flung his hand away and looked down at him, my gaze cold as ice. I did say, it is either her or me. But when did I ever say I would forgive you, or come back to you? The sunflower seeds. Thumbi Shi is literally snacking while his life crumbles. This is the moment he realized he played himself. He thought sacrificing the mistress was a grand romantic gesture, psycho behavior by the way. But she pulled the rug out. She basically said, I told you to get rid of her. I didn't say I'd take you back. That is the finest print in the contract of revenge. Absolute queen behavior. Shiao Chay. You are overthinking things. A cheating scumbag like you, I will never forgive in this lifetime. And don't think you can pull some prodigal son returns act on me. With me, there has never been such a thing as a prodigal son returning. The smile on Shiao Chay's face froze instantly. It was as if all the strength had been drained from his body, his eyes unfocused. Then, like a madman, he grabbed the hem of my skirt and screamed, What did you say, Shen Lingwei? You can't do this to me. You can't. Just then, the crown prince's men arrived with officials. A maidservant knelt on the ground, pointing at Shiao Chay and crying out, It is him. He is the one who set up a private torture chamber at home, imprisoned my young miss, and beat her with his fists and feet. Latter. He even sent people to kidnap the young miss, and her whereabouts are still unknown. I leisurely pulled out a bag of sunflower seeds. While cracking them, I watched Shiao Chay go crazy with great interest. He roared, I am a marquis who earned my title through military merit. It is just handling some small matters. What can you do to me? But the crown prince obviously wasn't buying his act. He waved his hand to signal the guards and officers to step forward, instantly locking Shiao Chay up tight. If it were ordinary commoners, a marquis torturing someone and quietly making them disappear might really not be a big deal. But now, with the crown prince involved, it was clear he intended to deal with him. Even with his overwhelming power, he had nowhere to escape. Latter, Suan, who had been imprisoned in the dark dungeon, was brought back by people sent by the crown prince to confront Shiao Chay in court. In the courtroom, Suan's appearance was too horrible to look at. Her legs were broken, and her eyes were blinded. Because she had been imprisoned in the dungeon, her body was already extremely weak. Obviously, Shiao Chay had vented all his anger from our divorce on Suan. But Suan couldn't survive this courtroom confrontation. Right after she finished describing Shiao Chay's torture of her, she breathed her last. As for Shiao Chay for intentionally causing harm resulting in death, although he had military merit and didn't have to pay with his life, he was still thrown into prison. Not to mention he had also offended the crown prince. Life in prison naturally wouldn't be easy for him. There were plenty of people to take care of him. The crown prince never intended to actually take his life, just arranged for his cellmates to give him a proper welcome. But Shiao Chay had already risen to a high position. How could he endure such humiliation, combined with his already paranoid nature, and the thought that he would never get my forgiveness? He completely lost his mind. In the end, he got into a fight with his cellmates in prison, and was beaten to death. When I heard the news of Shiao Chay's death, I felt somewhat wistful, but more than anything, I felt relieved. In this revenge, I, the scumbag woman, ultimately won. It could also be considered avenging the original host. Can we just take a deep breath? That wasn't just a breakup, that was an exorcism. She took the wife-chasing crematorium trope, where the woman usually suffers until the man regrets it, and threw it out the window. She realized that the best way to destroy a narcissist isn't to love him, but to become the one thing he can't handle, indifferent. Shiao Chay destroyed himself with his own paranoia, and she walked away with the money and the hot doctor. I need your wisdom in the comments. Ladies, the scumbag label. She calls herself a scumbag woman for leading him on. But was it just survival? Is it fair game to play dirty against a cheater? The mistress's fate. Suan was evil. But did she deserve that horrific ending, or was Shiao Chay the true monster who destroyed both women? Dr. Joe, would you have declined the Emperor's offer to marry the hot doctor right away, or would you have locked that down immediately? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories where the women are smart, the revenge is cold, and the tea is hot. See you in the next one.